Your day and stay safe. From KCRG TV9, this is First Alert Weather Now.
And thank you for joining me on the Thursday evening edition of First Alert Weather Now. I'm meteorologist Corey Thompson. We'll dive into the details of the next few days in your First Alert forecast look here, as well as a look at how the weather, even this time of year, affects agriculture around the state of Iowa. And the all-important Thanksgiving forecast will also be featured in addition to your forecast for fun. But first, what you need to know as you step outside this evening, it's a windy one, folks. That hasn't gone away just yet, especially over the next couple of hours early on Thursday evening, but those winds eventually do diminish. Area of low pressure that's providing the difference in pressure between a high and a low that we are kind of smack dab in the middle of will finally start to move away. And that gives those winds a little bit of a break as we head into the weekend. Now, temperatures will also catch a little bit of a break as we head into the weekend. Some of the warmest arrives by the time we wrap it up. Next week, though, turns colder, and we're keeping an eye on the Thanksgiving travel outlook, especially locally here around the state of Iowa. I'll give you a little bit of a detailed look there in just a bit. Tonight, cloudy again. We saw some breaks. Some areas saw sun, especially south and west in the TV9 viewing area today. Precipitation held off to our east, just east of the Mississippi River, where snow that eventually turned to rain took place. A little bit of accumulation in the Chicago area. Our Dubuque City Cam shows the flags still blowing strongly in this wind. Temperatures in the upper 30s, winds out of the northwest between about 15 to 25 miles per hour with higher gusts result in wind chills down in the 20s. Those gusts, though, ease, turning lighter by the time we get toward tomorrow morning. Not non-existent, but certainly better than today's really windy conditions. Temperatures in the 30s overnight. We will see that slow fall thanks to the clouds. That's actually going to limit us from being as cold as we otherwise might. Now, we did see a little bit of a preview at the holiday lights of the lake at the TV9 News at 6 this evening. There's more events coming up as we get into the busy holiday season. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Joe Winters has today's forecast for fun.
Once again, it is time for our forecast for fun, and there's lots going on, but first let's just think about a little self-care. How about a walk Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? Quite honestly, the weekend may be a nice day to get out and take a nice walk, see if you can still find any fall color out there at all, as it certainly feels like November today. But as we head into Saturday and Sunday, low 40s Saturday, near 50 degrees on Sunday. Some southeast breezes will help push our temperatures up, and it looks like we'll probably see a sun-cloud mix. Prior to that happening, of course, it's the American Dreamers Series up in Elkader, the Owls Series at the Osborne Conservation Center. That'll happen today. 36 degrees, the life and times of Henry A. Wallace. Now, Pink Friday, it's coming up as well. Boy, that's exciting up in Charles City. The shops are decorated. They've got delicious sips, sweets, and treats. And guess what? They say walk and shop small first. So this Friday, get out and shop Charles City. They have some great deals in place as well. It's time for the Vintage Estate Flea Market. That happens in Cedar Rapids both Friday and Saturday. Quiet conditions, lighter winds. Temperatures will remain in the 40s. And let's take a look at Saturday, which always means college football this time of the year. Regular season is winding down. Iowa at Maryland, 51 degrees, and 11 a.m. kickoff. Iowa State in Utah taking on the Utes, 6:30 kickoff, 56 degrees. And outside the dome at UNI, we are going to see Indiana State coming to town. Our temperature near 38 degrees, definitely chilly outside the dome. That's how things shape up for our forecast for fun.
Now, your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Corey Thompson.
After any leftover snow from last night's snow showers melted this morning, we were left with just those really strong winds. Our peak wind gusts today, Iowa City at 55 miles per hour, Cedar Rapids at 51, Anamosa and Washington in the upper 40s, Dubuque, Waterloo, and Independence a little bit lighter. So there was a pocket of some of those very strong wind gusts in some areas. We all felt it for sure, and it kept things feeling even chillier than they otherwise might have. Now, your First Alert does highlight wind here over the next 24 hours, but it's really only about the next 3 to 6, maybe a little bit later than that. But the gusts will really decrease as we go through the rest of the evening into the night. So if you do have plans for your Thursday night, things get better. If you're a third shift worker, they'll be much lighter by the time things wrap up in the morning. Cloudy, though, is what we're facing. You can see the city lights in Marion reflecting off the base of that clouds. You can also see the city can shaking just ever so slightly. It's because of those winds out of the northwest between about 15 to 25 with higher gusts, sending our air temperatures in the 30s down into the upper 20s. So again, bundle up if you're headed out tonight. We just aren't used to these types of temperatures just yet. Mostly cloudy skies look likely tonight in your first alert forecast. 32 degrees in Manchester, 31 in Oskaloosa. We're all kind of even because of that. A little bit warmer actually in the northeast, where they'll be in the mid-30s, where clouds will be at their thickest. Now overnight, not expecting much change here. Precipitation in the form of some very light rain still could take place to our east, but here in eastern Iowa we should stay totally dry. By tomorrow morning, winds will be significantly lighter, and we'll be talking about light winds persisting through much of your Friday. Especially later in the day, those gusts will actually ease a little bit more. That's as an area of high pressure really does settle into the region. It's going to give us quiet weather as we head into the weekend, and maybe a bit of clearing. Subtle as it may be, but that will be there on Friday night, allowing things to get a little bit chillier. But then Saturday, we're talking about perhaps a little bit of a mix. Occasional breaks of sunshine, but more clouds than sun, I'd say, on balance as we go through that portion of the weekend. Your first alert forecast tomorrow, 41 in Waterloo, 44 in Iowa City. Mostly cloudy skies is where we stand. Those northwest winds just 5 to 10 miles per hour after a start that could be a little bit stronger. It's Saturday that looks pretty good wind-wise. Sunday, also not that bad, but they really do start to pick up on Monday. Northwesterly between about 20 to 30, those higher gusts again. That's as an area of low pressure moves through the region. It's going to pass by with little consequence, though, as it appears right now here in eastern Iowa. Precipitation will develop with it, but it looks like we just miss out. Instead, colder air pouring in behind it on Monday. Tuesday looks dry for the most part, but late Tuesday night into Wednesday, we see a little bit of precipitation. It's on the northern side of a storm system that passes to our south, but we could see a little bit of light rain or snow that could impact that day just before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving itself at this point has trended toward a little bit of a drier side of things, but we're going to be keeping a close eye on it as we get closer, because obviously travel is a big deal, especially locally and regionally. If you are driving, you may run into a few more of those impacts as we look ahead toward Thursday to areas to our south and east. Temperatures, no matter what happens in terms of precipitation, will turn even colder as we go forward into the portion of the week next week. That's going to be awfully chilly by Friday and Saturday. Now, we did just see a dusting of snow for us here in eastern Iowa. Much different situation in other parts of the Midwest and on the coast. This is a view of the impact from the bomb cyclone in the Pacific Northwest. Winds knocking over trees, lots of heavy rainfall and heavy snow. 2 people died in Washington State. Melissa Don has the latest on the storms.
The Pacific Northwest feeling the impacts of a bomb cyclone off the coast, as well as an atmospheric river, with some parts in Northern California seeing wind gusts up to 98 miles per hour and nearly a foot of rain. This massive tree in Northern California falling onto a home, roads flooding, creating slick conditions. In San Francisco, a tractor trailer jackknifing across 4 lanes of traffic on the Bay Bridge. At the height of the storm, about 500,000 people without power. In the Seattle area, the powerful storm system snapping trees, killing 2 people, including a woman who was killed while taking a shower inside her home.
Everything's closed down.
In the Northeast, rain finally arriving in some drought-parched areas that haven't seen significant rain since September, making conditions ripe for wildfires. While this will help, it will not be enough to end the drought. In Pittsburgh, trees coming down as a winter storm warning has been issued for parts of Pennsylvania and New York.
I saw out our side window the black cloud, and then I heard the cracking and the thudding of the trees coming down.
Snow coming down in Chicago as the same system bringing rain to the Northeast is also bringing the first snow of the season for parts of the Midwest. Back in California, state and local officials are asking people to heed the warnings. This as rainfall totals over the next 3 days could reach up to an additional 6 inches. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Just because the growing season is over here in eastern Iowa for the winter as things get colder and colder, it doesn't mean that work is done for area farmers. Justin Roberts here with our edition of this week's Growers Guide.
We are well past the midway point of November. Temperatures are cooler, precipitation's getting a little more flaky, but that never stops the Growers Guide. And as we take a look at some colder temperatures, we've certainly felt it the last few days. For those of you that are working on wrapping up the harvest of this season, you do have some drier, not as windy weather to look forward to. Let's take a look at our 3-day forecast and harvest flavor. 42 as we head through the day on Friday, mid-40s Saturday, upper 40s to low 50s heading into Sunday, and we won't be as windy. Last week, Certainly some improvement on the drought monitor, but I call your attention to the majority of TV9 viewing area from Charles City to Maquoketa to Decorah, still in the dry status. Here is the new data. Give it a chance to update. We see that moderate zone shrinking a little bit. A lot of the dry weather around us and the dry conditions in Wisconsin have improved, but we haven't seen a huge improvement across the TV9 viewing area. Still going to take some moisture. Speaking of that moisture, here's how we're looking so far. Cedar Rapids, 2.8 inches. Dubuque, over 4 inches of rain in November. That puts them in the above normal category by almost 2.7. Iowa City, just shy of 2.5 inches of moisture thus far. Waterloo, 3.7 inches of rain so far. So everybody in the surplus category. In fact, as we look at the numbers, here's how we added it up. A dry start to the month, but then really started to turn the faucet on a bit on the 13th, and then last week as well with just 0.4 of an inch of rain in Cedar Rapids. Next 7 days, nothing substantial for us. Keep a watchful eye to early and middle of next week for a little moisture to come our way, but certainly not a rain gauge buster coming in. Talking temps now, high temps for November. A lot of 50s and even a few 60s. A lot of those numbers well above normal, but everything that goes up must come down. Look at our low temperatures. Had some days in the 20s and 30s. We are going to be chilly as we head through the next couple of days as we start to moderate. And just for context, here's where we should be. Normally high as we start the month 54, the normal high by the end of the month 39. Normal low by the end of month 22. Precipitation, obviously you saw we're above normal with over 2 inches of rain, and snowfall 2.2. Obviously that little bit of a trace we saw this morning will add to that. That is your Grower's Guide. As always, full details at kcrg.com. Back to you.
And thank you, Justin. And it will be a pretty decent set of days coming up to get out and about once the wind turns lighter. That really has been the biggest factor that might make you want to stay inside, aside from the chilly temperatures. Those temperatures, though, actually turn the other direction as we head into the weekend. 42 tomorrow, so pretty similar on the thermometer to today, but with lighter winds feeling warmer. By Sunday, we'll be in the upper 40s to low 50s, so a bit of an improvement there if you're looking for warmer conditions. It's all part of a temperature trend that initially peaks pretty quickly and then drops pretty sharply too. We'll actually be significantly below normal late next week, which is really something we just haven't had to deal with very much this year. We see those numbers dropping toward the upper 20s and low 30s in terms of our highs. Yeah, that is chilly indeed for this time of year, but it does luckily come with mostly dry weather, at least as it appears right now. We'll be keeping a close eye on any potential changes between now and then. Of course, this can change, still several days away, and just because of the amount of travel that's going to be going on starting as early as, even Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be keeping you posted throughout, as we promise here always. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Thursday edition of First Alert Weather Now. We'll be back again tomorrow night to wrap up the week. Have a great night.